I have spoken to thee of. And Jacob awake out of his sleep, and he said, Surely the Lord is in this place. I knew it not. And he was afraid, and said, How dreadful is this place this is, and none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put for his pillow, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of that city was called Luz at the first. But he named it Bethel, Legacy, Memorial. Jacob, the initial Jacob's vow at Bethel. And if you look at Genesis 35 and 6, Genesis 35 and 6. In 35 and 6, and we'll go to the verse 5. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. So Jacob called to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, and that is Bethel, and he and all the people that were with him. And he built there an altar. Okay, y'all listen. And he built there an altar, and called the place El Bethel, because there God appeared unto him when he fled from the face of his brother. We're going to read 8. But Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried beneath Bethel under an oak, and the name of it was called Elon Bethel, the oak of weeping. See, when you look into all of this and you look at the connection, and the question again of leaving a holy legacy. Are you leaving a holy legacy? Because Rahab, okay, we're going to go there. Rahab's legacy is connected to who? Let's go to Matthew, first chapter. And we're going to go into the New Testament. Matthew is the first book of the First Testament. Matthew, the first chapter. And I'm not good at pronouncing these names, but y'all going to have to put up with this one, because this is a holy legacy. Rahab. Remember the harlot Rahab? I want you to connect the dots while I read. Okay? The family tree of Jesus Christ. David's son, Abraham's son. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had Jacob. Jacob had Judah and his brothers. Judah had Perez and Zerah. The mother was Tamar. Perez had Hezron. Hezron had Aram. Aram had Amminadab. And Amminadab had Nahshon. Nahshon had Salome. Salome had Boaz. His mother was Rahab the harlot. Okay, just wanted you to connect that, because Rahab was the mother. Wow. Boaz. Oh, Jesus, Lord. Boaz had Obed. Ruth was the mother. Obed had Jesse. Jesse had David. And David became king. David had Solomon. Uriah's wife was the mother. Solomon had Rehoboam, and Rehoboam had Abijah, and Abijah had Asa, and Asa had Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat had Joram. Joram had Uzzah, and Uzzah had Jotham, and Jotham had Asa. Asa had Hezekiah. Hezekiah had Manasseh. Manasseh had Amnon. Amnon had Josiah. Josiah had Jehoiakim and his brothers. And then the people were taken into Babylon in exile. And when Babylon in exile ended, Jalcani had Shealtiel. And Shealtiel had Zerubbabel. And Zerubbabel had Abed. And Abed had Elkanah. Elkanah had Azor. Azor had Zadok. Zadok had Achim. Achim had Elud. Elud had Eleazar. And Eleazar had Mathan. Mathan had Jacob. Jacob had Joseph, Mary's husband. The Mary who gave birth to Jesus. The Jesus who was called Christ. There were 14 generations from Abraham to David, another 14 from David to the Babylonian exile, and yet another 14 from the Babylonian exile to Christ. Leaving a holy legacy. Had Rahab not let the two spies in, which I believe were Joseph and Caleb, I believe his name. Okay. Joshua and Caleb, excuse me. Wrong name. Joshua and Caleb. Had she not let Joshua and Caleb in, I believe that it just seemed like it would have been a totally different story. But because of her obedience and her not being afraid, and something about the two spies that she just knew, there was in what she spoke about them, that she said, I'm going to follow you guys. I'm going to do what's right. And he said, because you did this, leave this scarlet cord on your windowsill, and we will know not to destroy this house. So all of your family, your brethren, your kinfolk, all of them, as long as they're inside this house, they're covered by the blood. But if they're outside of this house, they're left into whatever's going on outside that house. But if they're inside, they're covered. When they came to destroy, listen, when they came to destroy, I'm going to go back to it again. Jericho. When they came to destroy it, guess who was covered? Rahab's house. I don't care how they treated Rahab in that city, it made no difference, because she was obedient to the men of God, these men. She was able to be covered, and her family. It says, and an untold generation. And you can see she's part of Jesus' genealogy. A holy legacy she left to generations to generations. Somebody's legacy is riding on you. It's riding on me. Whose legacy is riding on you? Some you may not know, but your children, your grandchildren. Are you leaving a holy legacy? Are you a child of God? Are you being obedient to what God is saying? God needs us to say yes, to surrender, to be totally 100% obedient. Regardless of what the crowd is doing, whatever the outsider is doing, regardless of what anybody else is doing, what are you doing? Are you leaving a holy legacy? And in that legacy, I read Exodus. I'm going to read Exodus 12 and 13. Exodus 12 and 13. It's in the Old Testament. A lot of chapters in it, so if you're turning, I'm sure if you got one of those you do in technology, then I'm sure you're already there. Then I say 12 and 13. And because I'm in the second chapter, let me see what it says. And that's where it's been led, so let me read it and make sure. Okay. It says, "And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt." Okay, now, listen. This is Exodus 12 and 13. Listen. "And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you. And when I smite the land of Egypt, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations, and ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever." And this is Exodus 12, 13, and 14. There are some promises tied to your obedience. You're obedient. Look at the promises are tied to your obedience, and look at the lives that could be connected to your obedience. So when you're leaving a legacy, as I was speaking earlier about leaving a legacy, there are, when you say another word for legacy, tradition, birthright, bequeath, estate, a gift, there's different synonyms for legacy. But I want to say something to you related to legacy too. A lot of people don't understand when you talk about legacy. One, God is peculiar. The people of God are peculiar. You're a peculiar people. You're going to walk different. You're going to look different. You're going to see different. And they're going to see you. They're going to see you before you see them. They're going to look at you. They're going to know who you are. But do you know who you are? So are you leaving a holy legacy? And when I look at legacy, I was looking up just different types of legacies. But this one thing stuck out to me of the different types of legacies. A pecuniary legacy allows you to specify a sum of money to give. Another type of legacy is enables you to leave specific assets such as property, all these different shares and arts.